Hello, my people of the internet. Q&A video. First question, bands. What are they for? What are they used for? Why do people use them? Simple answer, accommodating resistance. I mean, you're just stronger at the top than you are at the bottom of the lift most times. And that's because of leverages. Um, why should you use bands? Uh, I think if you're a little beat up at the bottom, especially for like squats or a bench, and like say your pecs are a little beat up, and or your hips are a little beat up, but you still want to feel some heavier weight on your back, go against bands. I don't like to go against bands. I feel like it takes away from the lift a lot, the regular lift. I like to use reverse bands. It's actual weight on the bar, and it's just taking the weight off at the bottom. So my recommendation, reverse bands. Next question. How do I get abs? Well, I mean, if you don't have abs, you're probably in a calorie surplus. You're going to need to bring your calories down and or um, uh, exercise harder and burn more calories than you're taking in, because the reason why your abs probably aren't showing is two things. One, you either have too high of a body fat percentage, and or two, your ab muscles just aren't big enough to show. Uh, uh, they're not just big enough. Period. So abs are like any other muscle. You want to work them with some heavier weight, right? Not just body weight stuff. You could do 1,000 crunches in a row. It's not going to do anything. It's like doing arm curls with just your arm. It's not going to do anything. It does nothing. It's not going to build the muscle up. You got to tear down the muscle. You got to feed it in order for it to grow, in order for it to rebuild and grow. Same thing with your abs. Now, I know, ladies, you don't want the big waistline, but you still want to build your abs. So the abs that show, rectus, the ones in the front, those are the six pack, the abs. Heavier weight. So if you're doing crunches or something like that, put a 10-pound plate on your chest. Put a 25-pound plate on your chest. Whatever your strength level is. If you're doing cable crunches, go up as high as you can. I mean, really. Next question. This one's a good one. He has hip pain, SI joint pain, when he gets up in the morning. But when he warms up and everything for squats and deadlifts, it doesn't hurt at all. So that tells me a couple things. One, since it's only in the morning, a couple things are probably happening. One is for everybody. Everybody has, when they sleep and they lay down, your spine collects a lot of fluid. There's just fluid in the joints and everything like that, just from you laying down and sleeping. So your whole back is going to be a little tighter. Number two, your bed might be old and it might need to be replaced. It might be shaped like this. So when you're laying on your side, it's actually screwing up your hips. It's just taking your pelvis and turning it in all these different directions and messing it up. Way to help that is, one, to either get a new bed. Two, sleep. You should always, no matter what, sleep with a pillow in between your legs, in between your knees, if you're on your side. If you're on your back, put one underneath the backs of your knees. That'll help out a lot. And three, do these two stretches / exercises before you even leave the bed, and I guarantee you'll feel better. One, just stretch all the way up, push your head into the bed, and stretch your toes down as far as you can. Hold that for like 10 seconds, then relax. And do that 3 times total. Then you're going to put your feet flat on the bed with your knees bent, and you're just laying flat on your back, and you're going to rotate from side to side with your knees, back and forth, like a windshield wiper. And you're going to do that for like 25 to even 50 reps, depending on how tight you feel. You might even get a couple pops, and what that's doing is that's stretching your obliques, that's stretching your QL in your back, that's kind of squishing that fluid out of your spine a little bit. You're flossing your spine, basically. And when you get out of bed, you're going to roll on your side, you're going to pick yourself up sideways, and then you're going to stand up slowly. You'll probably feel 50 to 100% better that first day. So give those a shot. Hope it works. Next question. I'm trying to run through these fast because I don't want the video to be too long. I'm trying to get to the answers directly, as direct as possible. Next one is how how to program a cycle properly, a powerlifting cycle properly. That's a pretty in-depth question, but the general answer is you want to have phases. And depending on the person and depending on how far out the meet is, that depends on how long those phases are. No, the first phase should always be, to put it simply, a volume block. You want to build up your work capacity. You want to build up high work capacity and a lot of volume, so that your body, think of volume as a foundation of a house. The stronger the foundation is, the more bricks you have, the stronger the bigger the house is that you can put on top of that foundation. And the next phase is your strength phase. You're going to take out some of the frequency. You're going to take out, if you don't like to do a lot of frequency, even in a volume block, you take out some of the volume and you increase your intensity. Intensity being, for simplest version, would be a percentage of how much you lift. So instead of being 60 to 70%, now you're between, like, say 70 and even up to 80% in the strength phase. And then think of the strength phase as the mortar and the nails. So your foundation. So the mortar is going to make that foundation just stay together now. It's not just a bunch of bricks laying on top of each other. So now you're building on top of that foundation. So you're building the frame of the house. So you got your nails and everything with the frame. Then the next phase is obviously the peaking phase. And that can last anywhere between, depending on how advanced you are and how your recovery is, that can last anywhere between really 1 week all the way up to really even 8 weeks, depending. I mean, some of the female lifters and some of the very, very beginner lifters tend to peak longer, but don't think of it as they're in like that 95% range for that long. It's just their body takes a lot longer to accumulate or to acclimate to that heavier weight. So if you've been doing it for a long time, you don't need that long. And if you are any longer than, say, 3 weeks, you're risking something bad. So peak, think of that as now you're just putting on the bells and whistle of the house, right? You're just sharpening it up. You're just putting the shingles on and the siding and everything like that. And now you're ready to go. So I hope that was pretty simple. I mean, rep ranges in the beginning would be higher, obviously, and then in the middle they'd be middle rep ranges, and then at the end they'd be lower, like 1 to 3 reps. And your volume would be much, much less, and your intensity would be much, much higher. And then you would take a deload, and you would go into the meet and do your thing. Hope that helped. Exercises for the shoulder, to strengthen the shoulder. Well, assuming you don't have any injuries or anything like that, and you just want your shoulders to be bigger and stronger and just more stable in general, everybody tends to do the shoulder press and stuff like that, and they do a lot of bench press, but they don't do enough rowing, enough back work. That could be one thing. Most damn near everybody I've ever coached, I've ever trained, I've ever even helped out has imbalances in their shoulder because, there's just not enough good knowledge out there. So a good rule of thumb is if you're benching and you're doing 4 sets of 10, whatever the hell you're doing, do 4 sets of 10 of rows too. It doesn't have to be on the same day, just remember. Shoulder exercises specifically, the ones that saved my bench years ago. 1, seated pin press, shoulder press. I give these to everybody if they don't work for them, and then I switch them out. 2, raises to the front, to the side, and to the back. If you want balanced shoulders, you have to work them on every angle. It's just as simple as that. So raises to the front, raises to the side. When you go to the side, don't go past your shoulder level, right? You want to stay even with your body there. If you go past that, now you're just working your traps, and depending on how your collarbone, your shoulder joint is made, that can actually tear some things up in there. So just go level. To the rear, same thing, just level with the body. Rep ranges between, I wouldn't go lower than 10, and you can go up from there up to 25 to burn them out. Exercises to strengthen the shoulders or the delt and triceps for bench. My favorite exercises or accessories, to be specific. Dead pin press from a low pin. Uh, uh, I like to do not off the chest, not on it, but about 1 to 2 inches above the chest from a dead stop. But the thing with this is, make sure you're extremely tight before you start, and make sure that you're in the position that you would normally be in with your regular bench. That's going to build a tremendous amount of power in your shoulders and your triceps off your chest. Second would be high rep board presses. And when I mean high rep, I mean like 25 to 50 reps. And this would be afterwards. You would use a close grip. You would pick a board that you really suck at, what level you suck at, and just at the end of your workout, just go nuts. Use a weight that you could probably hit for about 10 full range, 10 to 12 full range, and say you stick at like a 2 board height. Use that weight and then do as many reps as you can. Stop when you feel like you only got like 2 reps left. Rack it, take a minute, go back, go again, rack it, go again, and until you get to about 40 or 50 reps. Brady Stewart showed me this. His is actually 3-2-1 board, but if you're really stuck on one height, I would stay with the one level. Next exercise again is the seated shoulder pin press. It's a dead pin press too. It's stopped at the bottom. You want it to be around here, around your chin or a little bit lower, and just explode off the bottom, come down, let it completely rest, explode back up. That's gonna build a tremendous amount of power off your chest. And third, for your triceps, your triceps, when you're benching, they're working in conjunction with your shoulders and your chest and your lats and everything else. But you want to work them directly too. There's a lot of people, well, you don't need to work it as long as you're bench pressing. Well, trust me. Do some skull crushers, old school skull crushers. Use some big weight. Don't be afraid to use low reps. Just be careful. You can go as low as 5 reps with these and really bang out the heavy weight. But again, because you're isolating these muscles here and they're smaller muscles, be very, very careful if you decide to do those. And that's probably it. That's probably good right there for building delt and tricep strength.